Obviously, I'm very pleased to be of service, to the nation after being offered to be a candidate and then subsequently elected by the House of Representatives. I am humbled by this election, but most of all, I'm very pleased to be of service to the country. In relation to your question, whether, what is the difference really with being a Court of Appeal judge and being, the Yang di-Pertua, or Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Dewan Rakyat. There are differences, there are similarities. There's a great deal of similarities, because as a Court of Appeal judge, I heard cases, I heard submissions, I heard arguments. Although within a smaller confine, we don't have the same numbers as here. Here there are about 222 members of parliament if everyone attends, plus a lot of supporting staff at the back and there's a public gallery and whatnot. But even in court, in the more contentious cases, I've had to face, a full courtroom, sometimes a hostile kind of environment too, especially in public litigation cases. And a judge has to maintain fairness, and decorum, just like here, a speaker has to do the same. I am already retired from the judiciary, since 2015. And I was a consultant in my own legal firm. And of course, when the offer came by, to consider myself as a candidate, I had to think through it. Obviously, because retirement life tends to be more peaceful. I could pick and choose, the reference that I want to look at, because I was dealing with a lot of arbitrations. So naturally, I had some mixed feelings. But I think at the end of the day, like I said earlier, it's like a service that I feel I'm obliged to perform. If people wanted me, anyway, it's not a case of I'm applying for it or not, I must have it. No, it's not. It's not like that. So I considered it. And I felt that maybe I should contribute a bit. There's nothing new, in my career, I left the comfort zone of being a lecturer to enter practice. I left the comfort zone of practice and independence to join the Securities Commission to help establish the Market Supervision Department of Securities Commission, but public service as well. And then I went back to practice, and then when the offer came to serve the judiciary, again I felt that if people wanted me to serve as a judge, then it's a service to the nation. Although I had to take a pay cut and all that, but it doesn't matter really. From practice to the bench is a progression in one's life. And now from the bench to private practice to being of service to the legislature, it is another progression. It's like completing a circle. I've been in the judiciary, now I'm in the legislature. I had my say in administration earlier in Securities Commission, so it's like that. Over the years, ending today, I have seen an improvement, particularly in this session. I think there is a marked improvement in terms of quality of the debates, quality of ministerial answers. Perhaps not the quality of debates, overall, that is something we have to improve, obviously. But in terms of parliamentary performance, I think there is a marked improvement. The feedback I get from outside is people are very interested to watch parliamentary proceedings, everywhere. I have a friend from London, he's a resident in London. He keeps telling me, I'm awake today, I'm switching on to watch the parliamentary proceedings. So he seems to enjoy it. So there's a feedback we're getting from friends and from independent persons as well. it has stirred an interest in the parliamentary process. I think thanks also to the media, you know. Because times have changed, not only the print media, but also the internet media, the YouTube, you know, it becomes so current. And the live feed and the not so live feed through Unify and all that. And the quality is good. So people like to watch it. There seems to be drama and intrigue and, you know, a learning process through parliamentary proceedings. In that sense, it's good, and I look forward to, of course, seeing the quality improve. There are certain words which cannot be uttered in Parliament. You know, obscenities, for instance. It shouldn't even be uttered in the private setting. You know, we are Asians, you know, and I was very upset that day when it was said, because there were school children in the public gallery. So it's not on. In an Asian, even in an international setting, I don't believe, certainly I've not come across any incident, reported incident, where someone has uttered obscenities in the course of a debate. Hurling of chairs and so on, fist fights, has happened in other legislatures. But this one is very embarrassing. So I'm very firm. I've given the ruling, so I will stand by that ruling. Because the other day someone asked, one young Mohamad asked, we should have a catalogue of words which can and cannot be used. But we cannot be so hard and fast about it. You know, certain words in a certain context may be harmless, right? But in another context, it could be very offensive. Right? So let's be more flexible. But obscenities are certainly out of the question. I have a main agenda, you know, because one has to more or less promote the agenda of the government of the day. Right? So in the Buku Harapan, item 16, I think the main agenda is to restore the integrity of Parliament. Right? Of course, that is a catch word containing all kinds of reforms that will have to be made. So I know in your earlier questions you asked me about 3 most important whatever. I'm actually looking at about 15. All right, we have to drill down. Because we're not merely looking at select committees, special select committees. You know, there are other things which we'll need to look at. Well, let me just rattle off a few. Number of parliamentary days, for instance, it should be minimum of 100 days. All right? And then things like caucuses, you know, interaction with members of the public and cross-party kind of fora, all that will have to be taken into account. And other things like strengthening the internal institutions, all right, which can range from beefing up research facilities to making sure that the terms and conditions of service are good. Of course, it will touch on the Parliamentary Services Act, to restore the Parliamentary Services Act, things like that. Of course, we start from the basic premise that transparency is always good, unless there's some harm coming from it. That is why I said when some reporters asked me during the Durian Fest, I was going to that event and they stopped me halfway. So I did say it has to be seen on a case-to-case basis. You know, it has to be. It is not only the PAC, but everything else. Sometimes maybe it is not wise to make it public. But in terms of a premise to start from, it is good. That is why we have appointed someone from the opposition to head the PAC. And this is also part of the reform agenda. Actually, it would have been best if the leader of the opposition took up the role. But never mind, you know, now that we have Ronald Candy, who is equally well qualified. He was a deputy speaker. When he writes to me, I'll have a look at it. But I think we want to maintain an atmosphere of cooperation, and he's the chairman of the committee. Then he should have a say, and there's nothing wrong with it. And this is also part, part of the reform agenda to upgrade, the role of the leader of the opposition. We want to change Parliament. The face of Parliament will have to be changed from being a rubber stamp for the government to an institution of participatory democracy, right, across party lines. If we can achieve that, I think it'll be a great, great service to the country. It shows maturity in politics and in the political process. You see, I'm a private sector man, right? But now I'm a private sector man. And I don't believe one has to go overboard on some issues if it doesn't lead to efficiency. All right? What is the point of sitting until 4 o'clock in the morning? Right? When work can be done more efficiently, and maybe you stop at a more reasonable hour, 8:30, 9:30. Sometimes, if it's so pressing, 11 o'clock, as we did last week, because we had to pass a major bill. Right? So I'm thinking along those lines, nothing beyond midnight, 8:30, 9:30 perhaps, if conditions are that demanding. I mean, yesterday, we pushed it quite fast.
It's for the first time that we ended before 5:30.
Fantastic. That is the parliament that we want to see. Debates are kept to a minimum. You don't repeat your debates, the content. It is repetitious. Everyone wants to make a point, but you make the same point over and over again. So this is a very major thing we have to look at. That is why I strongly believe it is a good idea to have a shadow cabinet. So at least as a speaker, if a subject matter comes up, I don't need to scout around the chamber to see who should answer first. Immediately, the first debater will be the opposition shadow cabinet member. All right? If it's defense, I know this person will be in charge of defense, and then I'll give the floor to him. He takes the lead. Right? The others will fill a supporting role. The second speaker does not need to repeat what the first speaker has said. It applies across the board. Government backbenchers as well as the opposition. That will cut down parliamentary time quite a fair bit. And in this regard, I think once we establish the special select committee system, we can take out a lot of the parliamentary time from the main chamber into select committee, where it will be more efficient. You see, I'm talking about efficiency. Speed, efficiency, quality. Never forget, efficiency must go together with quality, alongside quality. So you'll have more quality debates at the level of jawatan kuasa committees. A lot of more work can be done at committees. Because committee has the added advantage. You can actually invite others to come. Imagine if we are discussing some complex matter on science and technology. It will be great to have a subcommittee on it or a select committee on it, and you can invite the experts, and we participate. Legislation, for instance, coming before Parliament can be first vetted by a select committee at various levels. Even at the committee level, whatever, they just send it to the committee to discuss fully. That's how it should be. Unlike what we have been seeing so far, there'll be a lot of debate on policies and on very broad matters. But very few people take the trouble of looking at the clauses in the bills to improve on the law. I mean, this is a law-making institution. Not a debating society. So that function has to be performed. We don't want for the matter to eventually get to court and people fight over provisions in the law which we have passed. So that will be ideal, and I think we can work towards it. I'm very confident with the way Malaysia is moving. There are lots of smart guys around, you know, particularly among the young. Yeah? So let them have a say in this process. It will be great for everyone. In fact, we're pushing this. You know, we're moving quite fast here. We had our selection committee meeting a few days ago, right? Like 2 days ago. We have appointed the members of the various standing committees already. Completed, you know, the membership of the PAC.
Is it completed?
Yeah, we have appointed all the members, all 12 members. So, and then I think next week we're going to have our House Committee meeting. And then, inshallah, as we Muslims say, maybe we'll be in a position to determine what kinds of select committees we want. And I dare say, including ex-MPs. There's a great deal of expertise out there among some of the retired MPs and senators. There's no reason why we cannot bring them in. A few days ago, again, I met a group of retired MPs, ex-MPs. They have also offered their services. Actually, fine. It's a great idea. Yeah? Mubarak. Great idea. As far as Minister's Question Time is concerned, the original idea was to have a Prime Minister's Question Time along the lines of the House of Commons. I think that's worthwhile looking into again. After all, it's only going to take about 30 minutes per week for the Prime Minister to come and answer questions. But then it has to be, you know, a matter to be decided by government. But already the Prime Minister has been coming to Parliament and been answering questions. So I think it's not going to be a sea change, as I say. You know. The special chamber is a good idea. I've been sitting on a number of the special chamber proceedings. It's very good, actually, because specific issues are then brought in Parliament, ranging from, you know, maybe parking problems to flood mitigation, specific issues in specific areas. And we make sure that the minister, or at least the deputy minister, comes and provide the answers, you know, which is good. But I think maybe to tweak it a bit, as you say, there should be at least a supplementary. Right now, they come and they read out. So sometimes it's not current. Huh? So I'm looking at it and see whether people will agree with me. That's tweaking it a bit. And the special chamber is also good because we tested it again last week. In the sense that you can take some of the work away from the main chamber. The Order 18, urgent matter of public importance, specific matter of urgent public importance. So we approve it at the main chamber. Say yes, Speaker decides, yes, it is a matter under Order 18. But you don't have it discussed immediately in the main chamber. You go to the special chamber. You know? So it came to me, I looked at it, this is urgent matter, a specific matter of urgent public importance which has to be debated. This concerns the Israeli law, which is internationally recognized as something very troubling. You know? So let's discuss. But other matters have come before me, and I looked at it and said, no, this is not so urgent. Because action has been taken by the relevant ministry or what, or the person who's been detained has already been released. But it gives you the avenue, a good avenue actually. Because previously, I think people were reluctant because it only interrupt the proceedings in the main chambers. My earlier ruling on the gag order and 1MDB and the sub judice rule generally, of course, took a bit of time. It took about a week to look at it properly. We have to look at parliamentary practices elsewhere. You know. But I am of the opinion that Parliament, being such an important institution, it should be uppermost, you know, in our priorities, that the greatest leeway be given to freedom of speech. If you can't have the greatest leeway in terms of freedom of speech in Parliament, then there's some mismatch in the political system.
Yeah.
You know? That's why in the ruling I said, if a matter concerns essentially an active criminal case,
Yeah.
then you cannot discuss it in Parliament. All right? It will be too prejudicial. In any event, we have to maintain and support the doctrine of separation of powers.
Yeah.
Not only the doctrine, but the application of separation of powers principle. What courts have decided, I think we should give deference and respect. Whatever a court has decided in reference to the ruling, the gag order. So long as there is a gag order, I think we shouldn't interfere. In other cases, then of course we look at the prejudice, the possible prejudice which can result from bringing the matter up in Parliament, as against the need to have the greatest possible leeway to freedom of speech. Like 1MDB is something which has been discussed in public, not only here, but throughout the globe.
Yeah.
It will be very odd if we have a general order from the Speaker to say anything concerns the 1MDB cannot be discussed. Yeah? That's not very right. So people should be able to discuss it. I'm essentially a humble man, you know. And again, I must stress, a public sector man. Private sector man, private sector man. I don't look in terms of a legacy or legacies or, that's for the ambitious, I look at it from the point of view of a mission, a vision, plan of action, implementation, efficiency, quality. Don't need to worry about legacies. What's the point? If I can, achieve efficiency and quality in Parliament, I'm satisfied.
Efficiency and quality in Parliament.
Efficiency, quality, and bring back the wibawa, the integrity of Parliament as an institution. That's not my legacy. I mean, that's participatory, everyone contributes to it. It's not very good for the system if we don't respect the media. The media has got a very important role to play in the political process, as a fourth estate and whatnot. Both print as well as internet media. We understand the need. I'm not speaking for myself, even deputy speakers and Setiausaha Parliament. There must be access given to the media, but within constraints. We don't want to see people sitting on the floor and typing on the laptops and not properly attired. We must maintain the dignity of the House. That is why we have provided actually 3 places for the media. Of course, there's your dungeon, which people are not very hot on. And then we have the main media room, which I've been monitoring this thing, which is underutilized. People seem to like the Jolok corner because it's so near to the door and it's immediate, breaking news, there's drama and whatever. I mean, you have to respect the privacy too. Sometimes they don't want to say anything, but to poke your mini recorder in the face or whatever. But this sort of thing, I mean, this is like a culture, parliamentary culture. This is parliamentary culture beyond the main chamber. So we have to build on what is reasonable and what is good. The other issue mentioned was the absence of ministers and so on and so forth. But we can understand that ministers cannot be in Parliament all the time. They have their duties to perform too. But you see, even Cabinet has taken the cue. No Cabinet meetings on Friday. So Friday. And you will notice lately a lot of ministers attend. That is good. I mean, nothing is perfect, nothing is perfect. And everything can be improved, so we improve from time to time. But Parliament must be like that. You cannot expect Parliament to be like a boardroom or a clinic. Then it won't be Parliament. So there has to be a little bit of drama, and, because essentially we humans love to talk, don't it? And it's a place to talk, to argue and to debate. But what we like to see is an intellectual debate, I think. A lot of wit, and less of the other things. And many of you guys are very witty. You know how many pantones have been said? I've been uttered in the main chamber. Oh my God! I said,
Deputy Speaker.
even the Deputy Speaker. That's fantastic. The language proficiency is also something which has struck a chord amongst the public, which is very positive, particularly amongst the non-Malay speakers. You see, the quality of bahasa is so good that people admire our YBs. And we should feel very proud. There's a good, gender representation. People forget this. We are living in exciting times. Starting from the top, Deputy Prime Minister is a female, a lady. And then so many ministers and deputy ministers are ladies. We have perhaps one of the youngest member of Parliament in the world, and one of the youngest minister in the world, and the oldest Prime Minister in the world. Right through the spectrum. Fantastic. So if everyone plays the roles properly, then I think we can achieve the restoration of the integrity of Parliament.